Hello, friends. I am John, and I am the 3D 80s kid. Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 9. In this episode, I'm doing a video response for Doug. His channel name is Dkahn. That's Dkahn. And he put out the excellent query to everybody to describe the first card that got you excited about collecting cards. And I've seen a few of these, and I have one person to thank for a shift in direction of how I was going to present mine. Shout out to Pepino Man. There's your Kevin McReynolds. You showed us your card from a kid, but gave me the idea that, my collecting journey is not just about when I was a kid. It's kind of taken on new form here now as an adult with coming back into the hobby, getting excited, and then drifting a little bit, and getting excited again to where I find myself with my current collecting and putting myself out there on YouTube now. So the first card that got me excited, that back as a kid, I am what Mike Moynihan has described as a superstation kid. So despite the fact that I lived about 20 miles from Candlestick Park, I actually became an Atlanta Braves fan. My first Little League team in 1982 was called the Braves. I had the Braves on my uniform. And so I started watching Braves games since they were on every day, thanks to Ted Turner owning the team, owning the network, broadcasting the Braves every single day. 1982, that was the full breakout year of a Mr. Dale Murphy. So he became my favorite player. I wanted number 3 the next year I was in Little League, which turned out, even though I was a level up, I was still on a team called the Braves. So then, since I got exposed to cards in 1983, if you've seen episode 1, the actual first card I ever owned was a 1983 Topps Marcus Allen rookie card, which my professional editor, my youngest son, will probably show on the screen right here for me. So, moving on from that, collecting a few random cards that the teacher had in her prize box. The first cards I encountered in the wild were wax packs of 1983 Donruss Baseball, which were being sold at the store for $4 at the time. And the card that I absolutely wanted, and when I got it, I was ecstatic, was this guy right here. 1983 Donruss Dale Murphy. This was my first, what I would call a chase card. Had no concept of the whole rookie card thing. I ended up getting a Tony Gwynn from the set. Never landed the Boggs or the Sandberg rookies from that year, but this was the card I cared about the most. In fact, I went to a Giants game during that 1983 year, and we intentionally scheduled it to when the Braves came into town. I wanted to bring this card, and as well as my other Braves cards I had collected to that point, but my mom would not let me bring them to the game. She said I might lose them. So it turned out when I was there, I was still screaming my head off trying to get Dale Murphy to come over and sign something. All I had at the time was the program from the game to get signed, since my mom wouldn't let me bring these. But it turned out that Dale Murphy never came over. The one guy I was able to get to come over was actually sitting in the dugout and was at the time my second favorite player. In Little League, my position ended up being second base, and since I was following the Braves, my second favorite player was Glenn Hubbard. Now, I was the most shy little kid on earth at the time, but something came over me. I saw him in the dugout, and I just shouted, "Hubbard!" And he pops up the dugout and walks over, and we have a little conversation. He signs my program. He was a really nice guy. But this was the card that really got me excited about things. So then I had 30 years of a gap, and my cards were in boxes. After I finished college, my parents made me take all those boxes. They moved with me from move to move 7 or 8 times until finally in 2021 I cracked them open again. At the time, I wanted to go into basketball cards, and the card that had eluded me as a kid, if you've seen episode 1 from me as well, I mentioned it, the card that sparked me again to acquire was Mr. David Robinson here. And 89, I had collected the Fleer set, which did not include the Robinson card, so I did not have any of the 89 hoops. And this card was going for upwards of $50 to try to purchase anywhere in 89 or 90, and was completely out of reach for me budgetarily as a early high school kid. So he was my favorite player in the 90s, and this is the one that excited me to acquire. Then once I got back into collecting, I was able to buy this thing raw for only $2. And then, like I said before, in episode 1, I had to get it graded with HGA because at the time, everyone else was either shut down or SGC was costing $75 a card, so no thanks. But then from there, I would say once I stopped my basketball collecting and kind of drifted a little bit, you saw that with episodes 5 and 6 where I wandered into non-sports cards. And then now I would say I've entered the 3rd chapter of my collecting, which is vintage. And from episode 4, this was the first card that really got me excited with vintage. Mr. Willie Mays. Had heard all the stories from my dad about how awesome he was. He definitively states that he's the best baseball player he had ever observed on television. And as you can see, I can agree with that opinion from my episode 4. So Mr. Willie Mays is the guy that really got me going with the new phase of my journey in the hobby. As a kid, I thought those vintage cards were completely unattainable. I mean, I owned things like this Circle K set from 1985 with all the big stars, and I mean, that was the only thing I thought was within reach, was these sort of reprint pictures of Topps cards, because the actual vintage cards at that time seemed completely unattainable. So technically, when I stopped my collecting years as a kid, I owned 4 what is considered vintage cards, and that consisted of 2 from 1977, 1 from 78, and 1 from 79. I have dug in hard now on this path for 2022, and I'm still early in the journey. I think I'm somewhere between 40 and 50 vintage cards now at this point, but I am working my way. So thanks, Doug, for putting this out there for people to talk about the things that they were passionate about that got them going and collecting. So hope everybody enjoyed this talk, and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.